Wix Studio, one end-to-end web creation platform for your agency to deliver exceptional work with absolute efficiency.
The #1 long-form writer that helps SEOs outrank competition at the click of a button using real-time research and NLP. Start ranking content today with content@scale.ai.
Thank you, everyone. Hello, nice to meet you all. Before I start, I just want to get a quick gauge of the room, where people are in terms of local SEO. From what I've seen from the last couple of days, it's sort of a mixed bag. So for those who have sort of managed like loads of locations, think they're an absolute ninja, can you just quickly raise your hands? Excellent. Everyone who works with me, fantastic. For those who have never really touched local SEO, just the other end of the spectrum, raise your hands. Okay, Greg, yeah. And then everyone else is sort of somewhere in the middle. There's a bit of local SEO. Cool, okay, lovely, thank you very much. So I'll just do a quick intro about myself as well. So as mentioned, I'm a senior value engineer. Here's my LinkedIn profile. I got married last year, and thank you very much. And I moved up north as well to a wonderful village up north. And all of this is relevant to the presentation, by the way. I'm not just giving a life about me. You see my dog here, he was our ring bearer. If you don't like dogs or cats, you won't like this slide or the next one. You can see also we have a cat as well. She runs the house, as you can see from this photo here. But also I just wanted to show the first time my dog went to the office and I put him in a tie, which is weird because we don't wear suits and ties, but he ended up wearing one anyway. So there we go. And also I'm a Google Business Profile product expert as well. So I work on sort of the Google forums too, the community forums, and help businesses out. There's Billy and I supporting, I think it was a business in Miami, getting reinstated after suspensions. She has incredible opinions. Weird fun fact about me, Barack Obama follows me on Twitter or X or whatever it's going to be called tomorrow. I don't know why. Maybe he's going to set up like a massive multi-location business at some stage. So we'll see. So yeah, there we go. So, and just because of the title of the presentation, I just thought I'd put myself under a waterfall here. So I just wanted to sort of quickly explain what I want to cover today. So ultimately, what I want you all to get out of this talk today is really to just get some quick hacks to really understand that there's a really low barrier of entry, regardless of the type of business. If it's a really tiny restaurant, if it's a massive corporate institution, if it's B2B, that kind of thing. So that's sort of the plan to sort of show you. And the way I'll do that is I'll start with a bit of story time. So as I mentioned, I moved up north to West Yorkshire. So it was a lovely long journey down here, certainly not the longest one for some of you. As we were moving in, we were unpacking bags, and I was still juggling sort of the full-time job and just dealing with all of the logistics. I'm sure many of you have experienced this before. We realized that we didn't have ingredients. We didn't do a shop, and we were incredibly exhausted. And as you usually do when you're looking for some food, you just want a quick fix. But we also kind of just wanted something that feels a little bit at home. My wife is Pakistani, I come from a Middle Eastern background, so we're looking for something very similar. But this is in a village in West Yorkshire, so there's not really many options. But nonetheless, we went on sort of the likes of like Just Eat, etc. And something that I do with restaurants I've never been to before, but probably also hotels that you've never been to before as well, is I always go onto the Google profile as well, or with hotels, I'd go onto like TripAdvisor as well. So that's kind of the same thing I did with Bombay Lounge, and I discovered them, and this was their Google listing. And for where we live, this is actually an incredible listing. They've got at the bottom sort of third-party collaborations to help sort of basically encourage like those blue buttons that you see, the order, takeaway, delivery, again, lowering that barrier of entry for someone like me who's really hungry. I just want a quick delivery in like 20 minutes. And they've also got, their website field, et cetera, all that stuff. They've got quite a few reviews. Again, it's not like London or Brighton with like thousands of reviews. These are superstars, 143 Google reviews. It's a great rating. And something you won't see in here as well is that they have a lot of photos too. And one of the things that I do, going back to the analogy of whether it's a hotel or a restaurant, is I just like to just comb through. Are those ratings real, or am I basically about to order from somewhere that looks like it's going to poison me? And that's a real big question I ask myself quite a lot. And the same goes with like hotels. Is it just fantastic marketing, or is it actually like a really, really good hotel? There are some things that these guys are missing, and you'll see that later on. They don't use Google attributes enough at all. I think that's a massive missed opportunity, whether it's for wheelchair friendliness or something close to my heart that Google released recently, which is if a location is dog friendly, because I like to take my dog everywhere. They're missing that absolutely massively. Another thing that they're also missing as well is schema markup on their pages. I saw a talk yesterday. I'm drawing a blank on the name, but he was talking about schema markup and scaling it through AI. And one of the stats he gave was like something like less than 50% of websites, so it must have been like 40 or something percent, do not have any schema markup. And it's a huge missed opportunity, especially for local, because it helps so much about getting found. And Google absolutely really love it to sort of rely on it and make everything kind of relevant. One of the things as well that they're missing out on is menus. So this is one of our customers in the States. And inside the Google Business Profile, you can add sort of little menu items. And I know this is specific to restaurants, but this is so useful. Photos help so much. I found something really niche a couple of days ago when I arrived in Brighton. My favorite food in the world is Korean food. So I went to go look for some Korean food. I went for the highest rated one that's like, it looks really nice. Not only did they have amazing photos of all their food, and I got to choose exactly what I wanted, but when I turned up, they had almost like cling film wrapped sort of like their favorite dishes and like basically stuck to the side of the window. And I thought this was incredible, but it really does help me go, oh yeah, that's the thing I want. And that's something that we all do quite a lot online, and this helps so much. Conversely, you could be at sort of a restaurant that has 600 items, absolutely no photos, and you always have that awkward moment when the waiter or waitress turns up and asks for the order, and you've only gone through the first 2 pages because there's so much going on. A photo really helps convert, really helps people sort of get to that stage of transacting and having that fantastic experience, and also know what to expect as well. So ultimately, I ended up having a fantastic experience at Bombay Lounge. It was, coming from London, there was a huge standard. Again, my wife being Pakistani, we've had this food quite a lot, home cooked as well. It's probably the best Indian takeaway that I've ever had, which is a huge statement to say, especially in the middle of nowhere. But of course, because I know a little bit about local SEO as well, I wanted to help out the business and help out other customers as well, to explain to them what I've had, what kind of experience I've had, what products. Maybe through searches, Afghani chicken will turn up as well, sort of in the searches online. If someone's looking for that, this location will come up. So that's absolutely fantastic. However, there is sort of a next stage as well, which is actually responding to reviews. Now, I don't actually remember if these guys responded to reviews or not, but I did want to show you sort of another example. And the aim here is not for you to read. This is not an eye test, I promise. But ultimately, this is a response that I got from a review from, I don't know, like a couple of months ago. It was the day before my wife's birthday, and we got stuck in the middle of nowhere and got a puncture. We ended up coming to this garage because I found it on Google, and had a chat with the owner. He was a new owner, and I just put a really nice review just because I like giving to small businesses. And he put the most authentic and most beautiful review response, and I thought it was fantastic. Now, I'm not asking any of you to do this and write essays in review responses. It's hard enough getting amazing sort of content out on the websites, let alone doing this. But ultimately, this was the gold standard. And the main reason why was because they weren't trying to find shortcuts. They weren't trying to keyword stuff. They weren't trying to sort of spam things. And Greg will talk a little bit about that later in his talk as well. But this was the key. And I just want to do something really quick with everyone, and I know it's really early, and some people are probably a little bit hungover as well, but I just want a raise of hands. I promise I won't promise anyone to join a cult or anything, but I just want everyone to raise a hand and to make a promise with me, so if you can, just super quickly. Fantastic. And I want you to repeat after me. I'm going to say the whole thing, and then you can repeat it after me. I promise to never spam review responses. That's amazing for before 10 o'clock. Thank you very much. Yeah. And ultimately, it's just a waste of time. Google doesn't care about it. I don't care about it. Nobody else cares about it. If you're putting a lot of time into putting a review response, at least make it authentic, unique. stop putting keywords in. You're not going to rank for those, whereas you probably will if your customers do. So you can ask questions on sort of a QR code leaflet, for example, on receipts, say, what did you eat today? How long was the wait? Not just, how was it? Just be a little bit more specific and intentional. Again, we're talking about restaurants here, but we'll talk about a couple of other examples too. So, little twist, Dia restaurant. They opened up a little bit closer to us, another Indian restaurant, 1 mile down the road. And they opened up in May, and this was their profile. Now, they've got a little bit more than 40 Google reviews since I've taken this screenshot, and they're making a fantastic effort. But looking at this listing, I wouldn't come anywhere near this place, especially compared to Bombay Lounge, that is just a little bit further down the road. And also, the barrier of entry is lower. What helps these guys, specifically for me, is it's a 3-minute walk from my door. So that's fantastic. But the reason why I knew these guys were really, really good is because, with walking the dog and just being around the village, the only restaurant in my village, by the way, I was able to find out that actually it's a fantastic restaurant. And I got to know the chef, and they're all really, really great people. And their food is fantastic. So I made it my personal mission to try to get them to transform this. Now, it's a really, really slow journey. Small businesses, especially those who specialize in fantastic Indian and Nepalese food like these guys, are going to have no idea what marketing is. They are struggling to even understand what's going on with their own website. It looks like it was made in 1997, even though they opened only a few months ago. So I kind of wanted to show sort of what kind of things they could do as well. And you don't necessarily have to read the same sort of signs, it's the same as before. I just wanted to compare them together, but you can see the massive differences. That outside photo actually as well is a photo that I took. I happened to have gone past, and I thought, oh, new restaurant, let me just take a photo and upload it. It's a thing I do. I'm also a local guide as well. I just like doing these things. On my honeymoon, I ended up, I think, reviewing like 100 businesses in South Africa. So it's a thing that I really, really love doing. I managed to convince my wife to do the same as well, so she wasn't annoyed with me just on the phone. But yeah, so there's a lot to do, but they're also missing some key things. So funny enough, they listened to me, and they started adding menu items as well, and they've got the entire menu. They've got pricing on there as well, which is really, really quite cool. The screenshot I showed you earlier, the animated one, didn't even have pricing. But yeah, they've started to add that little menu section, so like a drinks menu and all other sorts of starters, etc. Fantastic. They've not added photos yet, etc. But that's already one up on Bombay Lounge, and there's a few other steps as well. Where I think they should start from is probably the website, because the schema markup helps your local SEO massively, especially if you go through sort of verification or suspension issues as well. Really, really helps with trust with Google and their support team. So then, what about multi-location businesses? So I wanted to find another business sort of locally, but again, like I mentioned, multi-location. How do you toe the line between sort of your corporate identity as a business and how do you serve your customer base, the local community? Well, supermarkets do this really, really well, incredibly well. If you go to any Asda local page on their website, you'll see they've got incredible coverage of what they're doing, sort of local initiatives, etc. If you enter a Morrison's or a Tesco or a Sainsbury's or any other sort of supermarket, you'll see a notice board somewhere, and you almost miss it sometimes. But it's got things like, follow us on Facebook. It's got local initiatives like fundraisers and school sports days, etc. And I'll show you sort of those examples. But you kind of do the same thing as a consumer, and you follow that same journey of going through the photos and trying to understand the best about a particular business, especially if you're new to the area like I am, or if you're just browsing sort of the area for a change, for example. So a fantastic example is through Tesco's photos, Tesco Burnley. It's a Tesco Extra. For those who are British, it's also colloquially called Big Tesco as well. But if you're American, the smallest Walmart I've ever been to in the States is bigger than the biggest Tesco I've ever been to in the UK. So big Tesco is all relative. But you can see that they've got EV charging points. It's free for a certain amount, a certain speed as well. I think if it's even slower, it means you can browse around and spend more money, which is fantastic. But also a major problem as well in the UK is also recycling, specifically your bags. You can't recycle residentially your bags, and if you are, shame on you. But you can see most supermarkets, they'll collect your bags and they'll recycle them. So the fact that I know that these things are available sort of is encouraging me to choose this business as opposed to another business to transact with. and then I'll just get all the other things that I need to get. Because by and large, if I go to a Tesco or a Sainsbury's or Royston's or somewhere else, most of the stock is going to be very, very similar, let's say. I know this is a really, really odd one. I've never seen a clean toilet at a supermarket before, but this was uploaded by a customer, not by Tesco, and I just thought it was absolutely magnificent. It was fascinating. Also, how many times have you ever gone through a supermarket and gone, oh God, okay, I'll just wait until I go home? I can trust this place. It's just that added level. Also, I'm a bit weird. Everywhere I go, I judge places by the toilets because that's the last thing they think of, even after their local SEO efforts. So I just thought it was pretty awesome. And just for giggles, I'll show you a couple of bits and pieces as well after this. But this is one of those notice boards that you can see sort of, they've got like fundraisers, they've got that Facebook element, they've got sort of, sometimes they've even got jobs on offer as well. And sort of, so this is the offline element, and I gave an example of like Asda providing it online. But the way I see things is like your local listing is your shop window, and when someone enters the shop, they need to see the business, and that is the local page, that is the local website page. And I think one common mistake people make when they're transitioning from trying to understand SEO and shifting to local SEO is they go, cool, relevant keywords, amazing relevant keywords. Let me stuff all of those into a Google listing. And that doesn't work because you just need to be super relevant, such as photos, such as the rich data, such as all the stuff that I've mentioned. I'll summarize all this and take some more photos at the end as well. And then, yeah, just for giggles, a lady called Michelle took this photo. I just thought it was really weird. But that is Tesco Burnley for you. And then, so what about B2B? So I'll let you know a bit of secret. I'm going to show you one of our customers. I'm not actually going to show you any of their listings. And the main reason why is because kind of the big takeaway from this is that actually the key points are very, very similar, and you'll see at the very end. But I did want to show you sort of some of their growth. And this is one of our sort of marketing slides. But at the very, very bottom is a little piece of information that I added just myself, looking sort of, I come from sort of a data analysis background, so I just dig into our customers sometimes. They had a 37% increase in actions in the first year. I could tell you that in the second year, it was something in the region of 115%. And that is not a number that is crazy for me. And actions are really the most sort of intentful sort of indicator that someone is going to transact with you. If they're going to click on directions and go to a website and make an order, if I'm going to book a hair salon appointment, I'm going to do it through Google Business Profile, and I'm clicking an action and follow that journey. So they're all super, super useful. And Cushman & Wakefield, they're a law firm with 400 locations globally. Even if they had a location in Brighton versus London, their customer base is going to be incredibly different. So you can imagine with the plethora of locations they have in the US, for example, in each of the states and each of the cities, it's very, very different. And they don't have a local marketing expert in each of those offices. People are busy dealing with law things. They're not going to deal with any of that stuff. There is one person dealing with it globally. She's based in London. I'm not sure if she's in today. But yeah, so it's a massive challenge, but obviously using something like Uber really, really helps them out. So like I said, a bit of a summary. So we've covered sort of photos and videos. I'm a huge advocate of that, as I mentioned. There's some funny, quirky ones. If you can hire someone to do sort of the internal sort of street view kind of stuff, that's incredible. If you just add loads and loads of photos, videos, that'd be great. Quick one on videos, actually. As a local guide, you get more points for videos, so Google want more videos. And also, if you ever go to a local listing with loads of photos and videos, you will see video usually being the second sort of little box in that little gallery carousel if you're in the big summary view of the Google listing. So Google really, really like to sort of put videos in prominence. We mentioned attributes as well. I believe it's a massive ranking factor, but it's even bigger conversion factor. I'm not going to go to a place if I have certain accessible needs, or if they're not dog friendly, for example. But there are other things as well, sort of LGBTQ plus friendly or women owned, etc. These kind of things everyone considers, even subconsciously. We mentioned the booking providers. It doesn't have to be restaurants. Even Cushman & Wakefield, they can have a third-party booking provider, because you can imagine with corporate law, you can't just rock up to an office and say, hey, I need some stuff done, or let me sign a contract. You need to come up with a booking, etc. Schema markup. We've mentioned it a million times. Super, super useful. And then, of course, I am donning all of the gear. It's very, very clear that I work for Uberall. You can check us out. There's a link after as well. So, and here is that link. So please go to that microsite if you want to learn a little bit more. I have an incredible team of colleagues at the front here that you can talk to as well. But if you can't recognize any of those, just look for the ultraviolet around the day. I might have a white t-shirt if I get too warm and start to get sweaty. Feel free to DM me any questions on LinkedIn. Everywhere else, that is my handle. I tend not to respond too much to socials, but yeah, just catch me on LinkedIn, and I'm more than happy to sort of discuss. If you disagree with anything, I will happily have a debate with you as well. No problem at all. But yeah, thank you very, very much. It's been an absolute pleasure, and hopefully see you next time. Cheers.
Monthly reporting making you want to shove sharp things up your nose? Try Dragon Metrics, the all-in-one SEO software with mind-blowing reporting tools.